Phenomena are not cause and effect, but they are fated and evolutionary. Sometimes it's just a wonder to see eclipses and to feel them coming on. And it's funny, humans have this thing about longevity. There's a whole longevity craze, but it is a myth. And these eclipses bring that up. Now, Spain won the World Cup. It was an exciting moment when they won. It was a slow game, but it was very exciting when they won. And something very interesting happened afterwards that is kind of foreshadowing for the sign Leo having a conversation with the South Node. And it was after their victory, President Trump wanted to take a picture alongside the team. They had the trophy, and he felt entitled to take the picture with them. Well, somebody came over and escorted him out of the picture and had to explain to him that this was really about the team. This is Leo in the South Node foreshadowing, because ego needs to be put aside for the collective for the next year, 18 months or so. And the thing about Spain right now is they're also going to be at the epicenter of the August 12th full solar eclipse. We are in the eclipse window until September and into September, I believe. Welcome. I'm Taylor Marsh, author and host of Blew My Mind podcast. For over 2,000 years, humans have tried to find meaning through religious holy books and the stories of ancient time. In the 21st century, it's time, and that we're in the Aquarian Age, so it's really time to think beyond that and consider the energies of the universe, the planets and the stars, and how they impact humanity and humans, our authenticity, how they foreshadow events, and how they change our lives. Now, the fire energy we are experiencing right now is very different from the fire horse energy that happened and began in February. And I just explained part of the reason why. This fire energy now is not to be used for your own good. It is to be used for the goodness of everyone. And as this comes in the Aquarian Age, the next 10 plus years, we are also excavating our wounds, our deep societal wounds and our personal wounds. Now, the total solar eclipse on August 12th is when the moon passes directly between the sun and the earth. This happens, we have 4 eclipses a year regularly. Next year, we will have 5. And one of them, a year from now, on August 2nd, is being called the Eclipse of the Century. And it will not only span over 6 minutes, but the landmass that will be able to see it is over 10,000 miles. This is an epic thing. Now, we have gone from the last 18 months was about perfection and control versus faith. That's Virgo versus Pisces. And Pisces was the North Node, which is we were supposed to have more faith than we had concrete proof and evidence, and we were supposed to go towards the faith. Now, the eclipses this time are on the Leo Aquarius axis. And Leo is the south node, and Aquarius is the north node. Now, this includes radical change, the collective, which is very important, and obviously technology and the quickness with which we will see life change. And in my opinion, every single one of us is put here at this time so we can have input on the future of humanity. That's what we're being asked to change right now, the direction we are going. The choices we have made over the last many, many years have gotten us into a ditch. There are well-meaning people working hard on one side, and the other side seems, and this is not about partisanship, this is about good versus evil. And evil is the self beyond, above the collective. And we're going out of that era, and we have 18 months to make new changes and do something different than we have in the past. Now, one of the things you'll be challenged with is, are you really using your life for something more than yourself? Is the partnership really validating your authenticity? It's very common for relationships to break up in the eclipse portal. Sometimes people who have been on the cusp pass over. We find out things about ourselves and our partners. Secrets are unhidden. Karmic justice comes for people with dark energy, because no matter how much we are being asked to put the collective first, there will be people with as much determination and faith in their own trajectory than the collective, and they will choose themselves over the collective. Now, these people will have a harder time as long as the rest of us are doing what we can to make the world a better place. But there is always good and evil battles going on, the darkness and the light. But if most of us change and work together, we will be able to turn this tide and make something different happen, so that when the next eclipse season comes, we can build. This is not a building time. This is a changing time, a fated evolutionary time. And I think liars and schemers are going to have some karmic comeuppance come their way. We're already seeing it. We are seeing people lose their strength. The Tate brothers were finally arrested. There's a bunch of things happening. Politicians are falling if they don't have the right message. It's even our faith leaders are not having the success they normally would. So it is really a time of change. Now, I'm going to tell you a story I never thought I would tell publicly, but it really fits into this longevity myth as well as what the eclipse season can do personally. Now, I was in my fiction era after I'd done nonfiction. I had 2 books published traditionally by an independent publisher. Greatest thing ever happened. But I was in my fiction years, and we had just published a book that meant a lot to me. It was really big. I had put some of my psychic experiences in it, obviously, because it's fiction. It was blown up a little more exaggerated than normal. But my husband and I were out. We came home. I wasn't feeling good by the time we got home, and he was doing his thing and I was doing mine. And suddenly I got really sick to my stomach. And I won't tell you every little detail. There's some personal things in here that aren't necessary, but it was very close to a blood moon total lunar eclipse. Now, it also had a lot of meaning for me personally, which made it different. But I found myself in the bathroom. There's light everywhere, but all of a sudden I was in total darkness. I couldn't see, there was no light. The night light was off. The light in the bathroom wasn't seen. And I was standing there, and I felt my feet go completely numb. I couldn't feel my left hand, then my right hand. And then suddenly I had this terrible feeling in my heart. It was, from my analysis, it was a near-death experience. After I collected myself, one of the things that came to me is I just had to say this one line out loud, and it was, "I want to live." Now, I still can't quite come to peace with it, even as I tell you this. It's the first time I've talked about it out loud. But I want to tell you this because what followed was I was in bed. I was completely bedridden for 6 weeks. I couldn't even stand up. And at the end of 6 weeks, when I tried to stand up, all I could do was scream from the top of my lungs. Something very bad had happened in my gut, and it was just a traumatic experience. But I also knew, because of my experience with doctors, that no one could help me with this. And this is the thing that's different that I experienced. Maybe you know someone like it, but medical science has never had the answers for me, except in extreme cases where I needed an operation. That's a different thing. But it was a 3 to 4 month ordeal. I got back on my feet about week 8, and it was just so intense. And I remember looking back and finding out it was a lunar eclipse and being just amazed, especially at the outcome, because the outcome was the trauma I had suffered in my life just didn't matter anymore. I've been suffering from inflammation, and that was gone. And so was, over the next three months or so, I was back to the weight I'd been when I was performing on Broadway. It was an amazing, good news thing, but I had to go through literally excavating the worst things possible and taking myself all the way down to the bottom before I could get out of it. Now, that was a blood moon total lunar eclipse. And I'm saying this in connection with longevity because there are things we cannot know in store for us because of our cosmic tattoo that happens the second we're born, and the astral soul lightning from the universe imprints on us something that is very, very near to proving we are stardust. We are the universe. And it was something that you probably will never go through, but these kinds of eclipses, you can't prepare for them. I had known something was coming months earlier because I was really worried about the published date and getting it done. But I didn't know what was coming. And that happened more than once to me, not with such dramatic effect, but these things, I've had people leave my life all of a sudden during these eclipse seasons. Now, another dramatic thing that happened during an eclipse window was the murder of Charlie Kirk. Between September 7th and September 21st was the main eclipse window, although these last longer than this, but that's another story. And The eclipse on the 21st was at the anaretic degree. Now, this is the very last degree, which is the most intense. And the blood moon lunar eclipse was very intense in last September. It was tectonic. And it's not that Charlie Kirk did anything, but the person who allegedly murdered him had a real grudge against something he'd said and took matters into his own hands and was triggered by this type of energy. It wasn't cause and effect. This person allegedly got out of his center and lost his grip to do something so heinous to someone who was trying to do good, even though I have many problems, as I've already documented, with his philosophy. But there are things in life that come about. Humans are subject to events that alter our lives. And it doesn't matter how you try to think you can live to be 120. We still are in a body. As Professor Galloway says, biology is undefeated. Well, our spirit doesn't disappear. It changes form. And our obsession with longevity misses the picture of what it means to be human. These are very dramatic things I'm discussing, but they're personal things that I have noticed and experienced. And these eclipses are not times of action. They are times of reception. We receive the energy. We look around us. We decide that we are going to be a more giving person, that we're not the only ones that matter in the world, that our climate matters, that the animals around us deserve better, that the food we eat should be better, that our leaders should be ethical, or at least try to be truthful. All of this starts with being truthful to yourself. And eclipses are harder on liars and schemers because they are so far away from the truth. And I experienced what I did, I think, because of the trauma I couldn't let go of and how I was holding it inside my body so tightly. I was a little shocked that this was what came up and what I needed to share with you. It's not to make you afraid of eclipse season, but it is to make you more humble about life itself and what we are here to do and what we are not here to do. And I hope that maybe you'll think about, are you being truthful to yourself? You cannot help anyone unless you are yourself whole and truthful and living a life on purpose. And these eclipses in the next 18 months give us a spectacular chance. And the way to go through these eclipses is to find as much joy as you can and marvel at the wonder of the universe and how we are part of it, how God energy and the law of attraction is here for us, especially if we are going to use it for the benefit of everyone. I'm Taylor Marsh. Thanks so much for listening. I really am very grateful to 320 Creative for getting me on video. And I hope this was a little bit of a thinking podcast so that you can think about your own life. I know I'll come away thinking about, I actually shared something that I didn't think I'd ever share with another living human being, except my husband, who has been witness to all this beauty and magic and psychic wonder for going on 25 years. Until next time.